At the beginning of your trial, the judge tells the jury, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you are not to discuss this case amongst yourselves until the very end of the case. What happens if the jury doesn't listen? How does the judge know whether or not they are following his instructions? And by the way, the judge will tell him this throughout the course of the entire trial. How does the judge know whether or not the jury truly listens? You want to know the answer? Come join me for a moment as I share with you some great information. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney practicing law here in the state of New York. There's a very easy way to know. That is, at the very beginning of the case, during jury selection, we will ask the jurors, these potential jurors, whether or not they are willing to follow the judge's instructions. And also, we tell them, listen, the judge is going to be giving you certain instructions at the beginning of the case, throughout the length of the case, as well as at the very end of the case. If you find that a juror is not paying attention and not listening and not adhering to the judge's instructions, will you have any hesitation to reach out to the court officer to let the judge know that somebody else on the jury is not following the judge's instructions? And we get every single one of these potential jurors to acknowledge and accept the fact that they must follow the judge's instructions. Now they're basically policing themselves, and if during the course of the trial one or more of the jurors are not listening to the judge's instructions. So now the judge says, ladies and gentlemen, you are not to discuss this case, any of the details of the case, until the very end when you go back to deliberate, after I've given you the law in New York. If the jurors are now talking at a break about the facts of the case or about certain testimony they just heard, guess what? Now one or more of the jurors have an obligation because they promised. And they promised to go ahead and tell the judge, tell the court officer who will tell the judge that one or more of the jurors are not listening. And now the judge will begin to investigate, and he'll begin to ask questions and find out who was doing the talking, what were they talking about. So that's really important, that the jurors actually police themselves. And it's critical for the attorney to go ahead and get that promise from the jurors at the very beginning during jury selection. So now it's reinforced that if one or more of them is not listening, now they have an obligation to tell the judge. Now the judge gets alerted and he can deal with it. So why do I share this quick information with you? I share it with you because this happens from time to time in these accident cases, in these medical malpractice cases, and even wrongful death cases here in New York. You know, I recognize and acknowledge you're watching this video because you likely have questions or concerns about your own particular matter. Well, if you're contemplating bringing a lawsuit, then you have questions that need to be answered first. What I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. I can answer your questions. You know, this is something I do every single day, and I'd love to chat with you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a fantastic day.